Ciao e benvenuto alla Sociedad Anti-Alighieri de la Ciudad de México. ¿Estás pensando ir a estudiar a Italia? Nosotros te ayudamos a realizar tu sueño. Descubre cómo obtener el nivel requerido para la admisión en las universidades italianas. Estudia y certifícate con nosotros. Tenemos cursos de todos los niveles, desde el más básico hasta el más avanzado. Y además podrás escoger entre una amplia variedad de horarios y entre la modalidad en línea y presencial. Hoy en día, el conocimiento de más de un idioma extranjero es fundamental para ser competitivo en el mercado laboral. Y poder demostrar tu nivel de conocimiento con una certificación puede marcar la diferencia entre tu perfil y el de otro candidato. Ven a conocer el PLIDA, la certificación de idioma italiano reconocida internacionalmente y ante la SEP. Y comprueba tu nivel de italiano para acceder a las universidades de tu interés. Prepárate con la institución de la enseñanza del italiano más antigua en México y obtén las herramientas para construir tu futuro. Italia y la Sociedad Anti-Alighieri te esperan. Arrivederci.
Hola a todos, gracias por acompañarnos a la segunda sesión del día de Encuentro Creativo. Les pedimos a todos los participantes de mantener su micrófono apagado durante la sesión para justamente no interrumpir. La sesión está siendo grabada. Al final de la ponencia de Gaia tendrán 15 minutos para poder escribir sus preguntas en el chat y justamente pues poder abrir todo lo que es la conversación de las preguntas y respuestas. Les agradezco en nombre de la Cámara de Comercio Italiana en México por acompañarnos en esta ponencia. Y pues bueno, ahora les proyectaremos un video de bienvenida por parte del presidente, la directora de la Cámara y el excelentísimo embajador Luigi De Chiara.
Soy Luigi De Chiara, embajador de Italia en México. Soy muy feliz de presentar Encuentro Creativo con la presentación de la oferta formativa de estas instituciones académicas en el campo de las industrias creativas italianas. Queremos ofrecer a todos los mexicanos no solo la posibilidad de mejorarse de un punto de vista técnico, sino también de saber dónde van las tendencias, cómo se ha construido el éxito del Made in Italy.
En la Cámara de Comercio Italiana en México estamos honrados de poder promover la oferta académica italiana entre los estudiantes mexicanos. Durante la primera edición, en las 2 semanas del evento, tuvimos más de 2.000 alumnos participantes y logramos un alcance en redes sociales de más de 1 millón de personas. Este proyecto nos brinda la oportunidad de acercar México a Italia, 2 naciones amigas y que tienen muchísimo que ofrecer en materia de creatividad y diseño. Disfruten de todas las actividades que hemos planeado en coordinación con las mejores universidades de diseño que hay en Italia y junto con las marcas que nos apoyan en esta iniciativa.
Bienvenidos a esta segunda edición de Encuentro Creativo, que te permitirá conocer más acerca de la oferta académica que la capital de la moda y el diseño ofrece, Italia. Por favor, síguenos a lo largo de las conferencias de Encuentro Creativo. Muchísimas gracias y bienvenido.
Hola a todos, buen día, gracias y bienvenidos a una sesión más de Encuentro Creativo. El Encuentro Creativo es una iniciativa de la Cámara de Comercio Italiana en México, llevada a cabo en colaboración con la Embajada de Italia en México. Y bueno, gracias a todas las universidades que se han sumado como partners de esta segunda edición, pues es posible realizar todo esto para ustedes. Entonces, pues el día de hoy tenemos la segunda ponencia con el Instituto Marangoni, uno de los institutos italianos más reconocidos en materia de arte, moda, diseño. Entonces, bueno, realmente estamos en las manos de una persona totalmente experta que es Gaia Poli. Voy a darles una pequeña introducción de nuestra ponente del día de hoy. Gaia es profesora en los departamentos de diseño visual y diseño de interiores en el Instituto Marangoni. Es consultora de marketing y comunicación, brand anthropologist. Cuenta con una formación internacional realizada entre Italia y Estados Unidos y una amplia experiencia como empresaria en los sectores creativos de la industria de la joyería de lujo. Tiene una fuerte curiosidad y una formación continua, las cuales le han permitido hacer el trabajo que le gusta. Cree firmemente en la cultura como medio de emancipación y que el branding equivale hoy a crear cultura. Les recuerdo a todos los participantes que esta sesión será en inglés. Entonces, si tienen alguna pregunta, pueden dejarla en el chat, ya sea en español o en inglés, y nosotros los traduciremos para Gaia. Sin más por el momento, Gaia, please, you can start with your presentation. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. Hola. Disculpo por mi español porque es terrible, ma espero que va a mejorar. Mi estudiantes está intentando de enseñarme, quindi io espero. So please excuse me for my terrible Spanish. I hope that you can all hear me well, and I would be glad to speak in Spanish today, but unfortunately my Spanish is not that good, but my students, some of which come actually from Mexico, are trying to teach me. So maybe next year I would be more skilled. Hopefully everybody can understand and okay. Sorry, I have a request for my Instagram account, which is La Gaia Poli. There you go. So hopefully everyone can understand, and the translator has kicked in, so everyone can understand also in your own language what I am talking about. So I am very happy and honored actually to be here with all of you today, and actually I see that it's a lot of you. So I hope that my emotion will not shine through as much, not more than it is good anyway. I would like to share my screen so that you can all see some slides which I have prepared for you today. There you go. So today we will be talking about brand temples. I have formulated this title because since I am, as I was introduced at the beginning, I am actually the program leader for the visual design department, but I also work in the interior design department for the School of Design in Milan for Istituto Marangoni. And I work in basically storytelling. That is also my work as a consultant, because I work as a marketing communication consultant, and I like to call myself a brand anthropologist in the sense that I identify those which are the driving values of brands, and I transform them into a narration. Working as a program leader for the visual design department allows me to also see how all of this storytelling, which brands today are using in order to remain relevant, is actually changing with a very, very fast pace. As I also was introduced through, I actually have an academic background, which is international. So my experience of brands and branding processes actually is mixed. So I have been studying both in the US and in Italy, and still today I am studying because, by the way, you never stop, and that's the beauty of it. So I would like to talk about branding and brand places on an international level, because again, global brands today partake in shaping the global culture. So today, we will be unveiling how we can rethink brand spaces by offering consumers experiences which are immersive. Now, if you see me, I am a little shiny because I have been running to make it today on time, because I was briefing my students together with a very famous brand. I cannot spoiler, but you will have to follow us on our Instagram page, which is Istituto Marangoni _ Milano Design, so that you can discover what this brand is. Today, my students and myself have been briefed by a very, very relevant tech company, because they actually want the students enrolled in the Master in Digital Design for Immersive Experiences to actually design an immersive experience for their clients during the Milano Salone del Mobile, which is the event in Milano, which happens once a year. And the Master in Digital Art Direction will actually be designing the communication campaign. This just to draw the attention on real cases, real cases in which brands ask the help of young professionals. Sorry, someone has to switch off the echo. Fantastic, thank you. So I was telling you how relevant it is to be able to collaborate with brands which are asking us and are asking our students to help them develop immersive experiences, because immersive experiences actually are experiences which ignite all of your senses together, which means that the brand will be more recognized, it will be more easily remembered, the bond between the consumer and the brand will be tighter, loyalty will be maximized. I'm not sure who I have ahead of me, so I'm not sure whether you are familiar with the words that I'm using or not. If anyone would like to just or feels like saying, sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about, please tell me so that I can make it clear for you. I see that Pau is telling me nice things. Thank you, Pau. Thank you. I have tried to look as good as I could, but I was running from the headquarters of this very important brand, hoping to make it on time, but I did. So I've told you this just to tell you that this brief webinar will actually be talking about things which are real, of course, but also real in our institution, because as you know, as I told you, I work for Istituto Marangoni, and in Istituto Marangoni, we work with very relevant brands which ask us and our students to actually produce real projects which will then take place in real life. So let's go see what these immersive experiences are about. How do I do this? Hold on a sec. Ecco qua. So first of all, what we will discuss today is how an evolving media scenario is actually offering us and brands the opportunity to happen, because today brands have a very hard time breaking through the noise. You know, we are, I'm sure that you are all aware, we are all constantly bombarded with communication and experiential content, but how can brands make their voices be heard? And how can they develop experiences which consumers will bond with? How can they develop locations which will eventually make consumers really want to go and visit them? Because I'm sure I am, as we say in Italy, I'm breaking an open door. I'm breaking through an open door. I'm sure that all of you shop online. Why don't you shop in stores? Because if the in-store experience doesn't add anything, why would you go in a store? If it doesn't give you anything that you can get easily online, if it's just the product that we're talking about, then you can easily get it online. So we're talking about redesigning brand locations that allow brands to happen, to make themselves manifest by developing a narration which triggers emotional and sensorial engagement, and that will convert potential consumers into consumers and consumers into crusaders, into fans, into lovers of the brand, into followers. And we are talking about working at the intersection between science and magic, because of course, as you know, we are a data-driven culture, and marketing is very relevant to us, especially because it's fed of data, our behavioral data, how much we shop online, how much we don't, why we go in stores, and there's plenty of market research which talk about this. But how can we translate a market research into a strategy that becomes a memorable experience? I'll try to go through this together today. So first of all, I'd like to start off with a little research, because I come from and I work in marketing communication. So I never want to talk about my own opinions. I would rather use actual market research developed by la crème de la crème agency, which is McKinsey and Company, one of the biggest ones, for BOF, which is Business of Fashion. It's an institution which asks McKinsey to actually develop a market research on a yearly basis, which talks about the state of fashion. So what becomes clear is that digital adoption has soared during pandemic, with many brands finally going online and enthusiasts embracing digital innovation like live streaming, customer service video chat, and social shopping. As online penetration accelerates and shoppers demand ever more sophisticated digital interactions, fashion players must optimize the online experience and channel mix. Disculpa, gracias. Must optimize the online experience and channel mix while finding persuasive ways to integrate the human touch. I think this is so fascinating, because very often when we think about digitalization and we talk about brands happening always more online, we sometimes risk the human warmth, which is what makes us humans. Just earlier, as I was telling you, I was with the Director of Education, Sergio Nava, in this important web brand headquarter with our students, briefing them for this beautiful project that they will develop. And he was talking about the digital process, which is supposed to, how to say, make the material world emphasized, allow the material experience to be increased, to be more, even more relevant. So it is interesting that we are here to talk about immersive experiences and brand temples, talking about digitalization of the whole experience, but also integrating the human warmth. And as you see in these statistics, we see that in 2001, online sales were expected to grow, and actually they have grown. Gucci, for example, one of a very, very famous brand, which you all probably know, which is part of the Kering group, has been hitting the forecasted online sales, forecasted for 2025 already at the end of 2021, because the online shopping is becoming a thing also for luxury brands. But are we saying that luxury brands are supposed to be wholly taking place online? Of course not. So we are here to rethink about how brand temples, brand locations can be revamped, reorganized, what new role they can have in our lives. Philip Kotler, who is my good friend, no, I hope actually, he's the father of marketing, actually wrote this book, which also comes in English and soon probably also in Spanish, which talks about the new luxury scenario. And basically, he's pointing out that we are witnessing for brands, for luxury brands specifically, the microphone, thank you. We are witnessing acceleration, hybridation, disintermediation, which seems a terrible word, but we'll see soon what it means, sustainability, and democratization, which means that the scenario is changing according to these 5 forces. Now, acceleration means that everything is going very fast, clearly, and that brands are always more risking to become obsolete, which means that that products risk to be falling into scheduled obsolescence. For example, Zara products are supposed to last 10 washes, not more. And we are getting used to this. Semantic obsolescence, which means that products risk to be out of fashion, outdated too soon. And, you know, we buy a shirt and eventually in 2 months, 3 months, it's no longer in fashion. So brands have to adapt to the risk of becoming obsolete by producing more often, which means dropping products at a faster pace. You see this happening all the time in Gucci stores, for example, where you will go for San Valentino holiday, you know, the feast of the lovers, and then you will go, you know, for Christmas drop collection, and then you will go for Chinese New Year collection, and then for El Dia de los Muertos collection, and all different collections which are being dropped at very fast pace, which means that clients are actually urged to go to stores. Then we are always more shopping in an hybrid way, which means that we will go in store with our cell phone in our hands, you know, sorry, have you got this product by any chance? I'm looking for, I see that it's available. Do you know where I can find it? So we are not just there, nor just here. We are in both places. So brands have to adapt to becoming obsolete too soon, to clients that are hyper-connected to the risk of losing attention. We are also very much keen on visiting brands directly. And this is one of the topics that we will discuss today. Brands are trying to disintermediate, because if I speak to consumers directly instead of speaking through an intermediary, which can be a multi-brand retailer, I don't know how many are among you are into makeup, for example, but if you think about Sephora, Sephora is a retailer. So if you go to Sephora, you'll have an experience which is average. If you go to one of the brands that are being sold at Sephora, monobrand store, Chanel makeup store, the experience will be different because, of course, the brand can communicate directly with consumers. This is why a lot of brands are actually using stores as stages to stage the brand, to have stores and communication strategies which are broadcasting content which is supposed to generate very interesting feedback in consumers. Collabs are also an interesting experience about this. A lot of brands are actually developing collaborations which allow brands to talk directly to consumers and to talk directly to new consumers. Because of course, we always want to make sure that we have the widest array of niches to choose among. We also are very much interested in sustainability. Consumers today are. This is a work of art by Pistoletto, Venere degli Stracci, Venus of the wasted garments, we could say. Sustainability is a very relevant topic, which is today moving a lot of brands in that direction, which means, for example, going back to our main topic, which is brand temples, that there must be always an eye for sustainability when we are designing new in-store experiences. So think about the amount of light that we use, the in-store communication that we use about the composition of garments, the preparation of in-store, for example, come si dice, the in-store assistants. They have to be trained to actually be able to deliver an experience which also talks about sustainability, because I don't know about you, but very few people today are keen on buying brands which don't show social responsibility. Democratization, which means that, especially in the case of fashion, but also in the case of design in general, people want to be able to access brands. It doesn't mean that every product is available for everybody, but it means that brands have to be as inclusive as possible. As you know, inclusivity is a big topic. Therefore, new brand temples are designed to welcome everybody, to deliver an experience to everybody, and if possible, personalized, and we'll see how. Now, here are some examples which I have taken from WGSN trend forecasting website, because as Istituto Marangoni teacher, as also Istituto Marangoni students, we have access to WGSN, which is an amazing, amazing resource in trend forecasting. So here you will find a lot of different information which I have taken from that website. So here you see the content which I have just extracted from the new trend forecasting with regards to brand locations, which was just released from WGSN. Shoppers around the world have spent the last 3 years subject to various degrees of restrictions and are now more eager than ever for physical retail environments that create memorable experiences differentiated beyond the transactional, which means that we go to stores to have experiences, not to buy. Because to buy, we don't need to go to stores. But you all know, because again, all of you shop online, most of you, many of you, I do. But sometimes I'll go to stores when I want to have a closer look at the brand. So as we see, the store is no longer a place where you go to actually try on something also, but you go to receive an experience, to breathe the air of the brand. Sorry, I have a mosquito flying over my head. To breathe the air of the brand. Here are some other researches which have been done, which show that according to the PwC, which is a market research company, 86% of American shoppers are willing to pay more for great customer experience, which means that stores that don't deliver an experience are banned. Consumers are also willing to pay a price premium of up to 18% for luxury and indulgent services. So we actually expect to be seen, we expect to be valued So if you think about the old school kind of store, in-store experience, I don't know what's the average age of you guys in front of me, but I can imagine that you are probably, some of you are actually very young. So I'm not sure whether you remember, but there has been a time, not very far in time, and there are still stores that way, where, sales associates are there waiting for the client to come in. You go in, you see the product. No longer. There's no longer room for wasting time in stores that don't give you anything. It's something that if you come from Ciudad de Mexico, probably in big cities, we don't have time to waste in conversations or experiences which don't nurture us. Same goes for shopping. We want to go to stores that add something to our life. This is another interesting example of a new concept of retailing, which is actually the Italian Salvatore Ferragamo, which opened new stores with a lot of tech experiences in it. It's in Soho, New York, and there's a lot of 3D holograms inside the store. So you'll see the product, as you see, for example, in the image up left, but you also see in the middle a lot of holograms, of hologrammatic experiences, images, which will actually help you have even, for example, just see what an hologram looks like, because not everybody has seen an hologram. So bringing technology to stores because they are interesting. We never want to use technology per se. We want to use technology because it adds to our consumers' experiences. But again, technology which allows people to have a new experience that they've never had, or to see something of the product. This is another example from Milan. This is United Colors of Benetton, which is a store which is actually, you could say, close to, well, a little higher than Zara, but more or less along those lines. It's the first fast fashion line, the first fast fashion brand actually in Italy, dates back to the 80s actually, before. But it's still alive, and it's actually very, very interesting the way it's actually endorsing new technologies. So basically the store in Milano, which is very, very close to actually to Istituto Marangoni School of Design, which is in San Babila. Well, along the beautiful road that leads you from the Duomo to Piazza San Babila, you will have this store, which has been designed mimicking the United Colors of Benetton store on Roblox, which is basically a metaverse digital version of their store, where it's possible to actually purchase as well. So as you see, we start already to see how in-store experiences can be digitalized to different extents. For example, Ferragamo opts for hologram images, while United Colors of Benetton recreates a completely analogic store that, however, looks like their virtual store. And this is the Jacquemus 2424 store, just opened in Selfridges in London. It's a store which is accessible 24 hours a day, and it looks like basically a gym, we could say. This is pretty much analogic. It's pretty much focusing on interior design. It's called Le Bleu, which is basically a stream that Jacquemus has been following for a while, which is a designing store which is inspired by one color, so monochromatic experiences. And this is a place where you can see the product and, of course, all their iconic mini bags and other bags and other products. And it's accessible 24 hours a day. For my marketing heart, I have to say the most interesting thing for me, it's not just the aesthetics of it, yes, but also the fact that it is inside Selfridges, which is a different approach to monobranding. If I have a monobrand store, I will actually be opening it on the street. If I open it inside a mall, like Selfridges is, you see that I get also all the traffic that Selfridges generates. This is another store, still in Milano, very, very close to Piazza San Babila, where we are. It's actually the Golden Goose store, where you see an interesting and different use of technology. You have a very, very big screen where you can personalize your Golden Goose shoes. because as you know, Golden Goose is all about sneakers and all about personalization. So here you see top right image, you see that there's a little drawer with all the little elements you can add to your shoes. That would be a very analogic approach. It would be like when I was little and my denim were breaking, I would go to my nonna, to my grandma, to my abuela, and she would place a patch that I would choose in a drawer of other patches. In the case of Golden Goose, they actually try to recreate the same experience where you have a drawer with all the little patches, but then you actually bring the patch onto the digital screen and you assemble your own shoes. You choose where the patch is going to go, how tilted you want it. Sorry, I think my audio deactivated. Okay. Is it okay?
Yeah, is it okay?
Okay. So basically here you see an interesting example of a brand which delivers an experience which is borderline between very analogic and old school and very, very digital, where you are in front of a huge 100,000 euro screen where you can actually play with designing your own Golden Goose shoes. Now, we have been talking about brands. We have been looking at branded stores and brand experiences. But I feel before we go on, we should really understand what a brand is. And I hope you will follow me in this research. I see that we have 400 people connected. Thank you. I hope that you are enjoying my chat so far. What is a brand? First of all, brand is a word which comes from ancient English, which again comes from a melting of Latin and Saxon dialects. However, from Old English, brand means to mark with fire. And if you see the image of this poor cow over here, which I think is a cow, looks like it. You take it that is a cow, not sure, but anyway, along those lines. You will see that she's branded on the hip. Why is this the case? Beside the fact that us humans are a little mean sometimes, it's that branding originally meant to identify ownership. The first brands in history are P&G, Coca-Cola in America, and Lego, which is actually Danish. So the brand was originally a logo that was imprinted on the product in order to define, this is my cow, that is your cow. Oh, this is my cow, don't steal my cow. You see, there's my name branded on the hip of my cow. Eventually, brands, from just being a logo imprinted on the hip of a cow or on the bottle of a Coca-Cola or on the bottle of a soap or on a vase, become something different. They become a tool to communicate. They become a name which has the power to influence. So if I say Coca-Cola and I say Pepsi, I obtain in you two completely different approaches. If I say Coca-Cola, you think about, well, it depends on what's your generation, but you might be thinking about the jingle, or you might be thinking about the taste, or you might be thinking about the noise that it makes when you take the, you open it, even in the glass bottles. And if you think about Pepsi, you might think about the advertising that went on YouTube a few years ago that was actually banned and actually called back from the brand a few days after because it was considered not appropriate. Or you might be thinking about other experiences which you've had. I know by fact that Coca-Cola is such a well-distributed brand that all of you have awareness of its existence. Because brands became something that was just no longer a logo impressed on a product, but actually they became a story. They became an experience. They became an expectation. They became a promise. They became a mission. They became a value which was created, embedded in the product, embedded in the brand experience, delivered through communication, sustained over time, and eventually, ideally, generating loyalty. In the 80s of the 1900s, there's a hype around brands. It's the first time in history because big groups understood. Big groups, I'm talking about Kering, that, for example, owns Gucci and Bottega Veneta and many other luxury brands. Or I could be talking about LVMH, which own Louis Vuitton and many other brands, Moët Chandon, many other brands in the sector of fashion and drinks and food and hotels. Because brands have power. So what if big holding, so big group, big company that can own more brands? What if I buy a brand from maybe a brand which is not that big today, but has good grip on consumers? What if I buy it and I pour more money into it? In that case, I would be able to grow a body of brands which can grow my profits, starting from the fact that brands do have a powerful story to tell. In that case, we start looking at brands as assets, as resources, meaning brands not as products, brands not as, influencers that use them, but brands as stories. According to the American Marketing Association, a brand is a name, a term, a sign, a symbol, or any other features that identifies one seller's good or service as distinct from those of other sellers. So if you think about a brand that you like, whatever it is, I'm gonna do like the magicians. Think about a number and I'll recognize it, but I'm joking. Sorry, let me switch on the light. It's a little dark here. No, I won't guess the number you're thinking of, but I can tell you that whatever brand you're thinking, you are not just thinking about the logo. You are thinking about experiences which you've had with that brand. You are thinking about the expectations you have from that brand, the price you're willing to pay for that brand, or the price that you are not willing to pay from that brand. Because a brand, as we said, is a name with the power to influence. In this sense, designing products means to translate, to do a work of translation, which means translating core values into products, experiences, packaging, communication. So you have a brand which stands for certain values, and you translate it into a product, you translate it into an experience, you translate it into a store eventually. Products have a lot to deal with cultures. In fact, very often, brands are semantic prostheses, we say, meaning they are something we put on us in order to shape our identity. If you think about it, when you were little and you went to middle school, probably you have met other little friends and you have chosen each other. Sorry, I don't want to sound vain, but also based upon the brands that you've used, the brand of your backpack, the brand of your garments, or the unbranded products that you have decided to use, associating yourself and your image to certain brands or others, which by chance, it's an identity choice, also a political choice, if I can add. Brands have a lot to say about us. An example is Nike. Nike is actually a story of victory. Indeed, the swoosh, the logo of Nike, is the wing of victory. And Nike in ancient Greek means victory. But what kind of victory are we talking about? Are we saying that I go for a run and I win? I hope. Most likely not going to happen. But most likely it's about winning over ourselves, winning over the fact that, oh, I really have to go to run, but oddio, no. Madonna che stanchezza. Instead, you wake up, you wear your shoes and you go for a run, because winning means winning over yourself, winning over your laziness. Nike stands for this, and their stores are all about this, about engaging, about community. All their branded experiences are about generating community. Indeed, Design products and brands, therefore, are to be considered life tools. They help us navigate in our daily life and generate a dialogue with the people of our community, with our peers. Very often, people that belong to the same context typically use the same brands, because there's a strong connection between brands and the cultural context where these brands move. They shape each other. And design, as we said, translates these values into products, into stores, into visual languages. I had in mind to go through a few information about distribution because we are talking about stores, but I would skip this part because we don't have a lot of time, but I just meant to tell you this image. It was just an excuse to show you the beautiful Milano Galleria, because this is the ceiling of the Galleria Vittorio Emanuele, which is a place where a lot of stores are today, a lot of monobrand stores. The truth is that selling your product directly offers you the possibility to generate stores which are so beautiful as the one we saw with Ferragamo, Golden Goose, Jacquemus. These stores are monobrand stores where you can only find that brand. And those kind of stores are expensive to maintain. They are difficult to manage. It's a very, very expensive endeavor, but it gives brands the unique opportunity to deliver amazing experiences. Can you imagine how beautiful it is to go in the stores, not to buy, but to experience the brand? That is so cool. Sometimes with my students, I'll go to stores just to see how the brand experience looks in store. And the more enlightened brands are brands which host stores for experiences and not just for selling. Well, it's not bad if they sell, I'm sure, but it's about delivering experiences. So people must be welcomed and there must be things that you can do in stores. So the other day I went with my students in the Gucci store and actually they were hosting an armochromy event. Sorry, I want to change the light because, okay, maybe this is better. Sorry, my in-studio light is not great. Meglio. Sorry. Maybe. So I went with my students in the Gucci store and there was an event about armochromy, which is the, let's say, we couldn't call it a science, but we could say it's a theory about friendly colors. So for example, some people will be better with warmer colors, some other people will be better with cooler colors, undertones. And in the store for top spending clients, there was this kind of experience, which was actually very nice. And we were able to see it. Direct distribution allows this degree of intimacy with consumers. And brands have a very vast array of channels to actually go meet their clients, not only stores. And as we said, clients are not willing to settle for an average experience. Therefore, stores today have a hard time doing what? Delivering experiences, entertaining, engaging, generating foot traffic, and maintaining a meaning. Because often, as we said, we go in stores to have all this, to meet the brand, to see whether the brand interests us or not, and not to buy. Because if we have to buy, as we said, we can literally go online. So how can brands succeed in doing all this? Immersivity is an interesting way, but I'm saying, what is to be considered immersive? Can a brand deliver an immersive experience? And shouldn't brand just produce their products and not be bothered with anything else? Well, probably my grandma in the 80s, when she was already old, she would have said, yeah, I mean, brands should produce products. That's all they have to do. But today, we know very well that we won't buy a product if the brand does not trigger our interest, if the brand doesn't make us emotional, if the brand is not able to deliver an experience which we will remember, even just because we will forget it because we are so solicited on a daily basis that we will most likely forget what a brand is about if the brand doesn't impress us. Alessandro Michele, who is the creative director of Gucci, comes our way saying creativity is often born and finds its voice in digital media and digital media is a vital source of visual culture. So since our culture is very much oriented towards the digital world, and we are always more digitalized, we should look at the digital revolution to deliver experiences. Digital media are actually making brands always more media platforms, which means that, as we said earlier, a brand through its stores, through its social media, on their website, on all the experiences that brand design for their consumers are actually expected from clients to surprise them, to bring them, let's say, to learn new things, to create activations which are actually memorable. These are some examples of videos that I have chosen for you. This is the Bulgari Immersive experience. It's a virtual reality. I'm sure, or if I'm not sure actually, whether you know the difference between virtual reality and augmented reality. But virtual reality is basically a completely handcrafted, it's not the right word, a completely designed world, which is designed digitally and available through the internet, which you can experience with the visor, with earphones, even with the gloves that allow you. We are actually testing them now with Inovia at Istituto Marangoni, the gloves that allow you to reproduce textures and temperature. So you can experience virtual reality feeling like you are there. While on the other hand, augmented reality is what basically some of you have used on your cell phone to actually try on lipsticks or to see how a certain sofa looks in your living room. You will be taking a picture of your living room and the app, for example, Gucci does it. The Gucci app will place the sofa on your living room through the app, and you will see augmenting your own reality, how that sofa will look in your living room. Same goes for trying the lipstick on. You can find it on the L'Oreal website, on many Clarins, many websites are doing it today. It's basically the same thing of an Instagram filter, really. So I would like to see this video with you. Please let me know if you can hear and feel this, and if you can see and feel the sound. Sorry. Can you all hear? Can someone tell me, Claudia?
No, Gaia, it still like in the presentation. We cannot see the video or hear any audio.
Okay, very good. So I will do something more smart than this. I will send you the link so that you can watch it. You can save it and you can watch it later. Because we tried it earlier to see whether the video was actually running, but it felt like it did, but now it doesn't. Maybe because a lot of us are connected and the video, it's kind of having a hard time. So I'm sharing it with everybody. So this is a short video which shows you how Bulgari has been using virtual reality to generate an interesting branded experience. Because as we said, we need to, oh, sorry, let me share the screen. I was looking at the slides, but I was doing it without you. There you go. We were saying, how can we generate experiences which are memorable, which will make our clients feel they're seeing something new, learning something new, feeling engaged, because as we said, engagement is necessary in order to activate interest and to activate memory retention of the brand and the experience delivered. Now, this is another video. Another thing that I wanted to tell you, fake or fact. using immersive experiences and multimedia content in general in in-store experiences or in communication campaigns allow brand to generate content which will like stroke you. You will be like, oh. Very often we are scrolling on our phones, you all know, and we don't even pay attention. What happens instead when you are scrolling and eventually you stop and you look? What's happening? What are you seeing when you are stopping and watching? Very often an image which has an extra power. Well, this is typically what happens with augmented reality or virtual reality. In this case, it would be difficult to say whether this is augmented reality or virtual reality. It could be an image which has been augmented, or it could easily be a virtual reality. So it looks real, but it's actually reproduced. It's produced. So it's not real, it's produced through an array of digital media. It's actually a fantasy project. It's not real. Now, here it's another video which I would like to put in your chat, which is an amazing video from 2015. So it's actually almost 8 years old. It's 7 years old. It is the Japanese pavilion inside the Expo, which took place in Milan in 2015. Now, you might say, yeah, but aren't we here to talk about branded temples? Temples of the future, brands and reinventing brand spaces. Yeah, but a brand can also be a city. Ciudad de Mexico is a brand. In some cases, some city have a brand manager, because when I say Ciudad de Mexico, I am igniting in all of you an image, an expectation. Yo pienso allo Zócalo, which is the main square of Ciudad de Mexico, or which I've never visited, but I will soon. I can think of course, I will think about Frida Kahlo, because she's one of my favorite painters, and about the movies and books that I've read and seen about her. So a place can be branded. In this case, during the Expo in Milano, Japan decided to brand their country with an immersive experience. So let me just share. Sorry, 1 second. Let me just share this. Let me just share. How do I do this? Ecco qui. Let me just share this video with you. This is a very, very cool video because, as we said, it talks about Japan, ed è bellissimo because in an immersive experience, you are able to see Japan. Like, this is what you expect Japan to be like. It's sweet, it's mild, but it's also full of strength, full of poetry, full of nature. And this immersive experience, which is pretty much obtained through video mapping projection. So basically, it's using projections on different surfaces. So if you give it a look, I'm sure you'll agree with me, considering that it's 7 years old too, actually. This is actually a very interesting experience, a very interesting example of how to brand experiences, to generate brand experiences by using multimedia or digital content. This is instead an image, but also a video, which you can find Googling Immersive Van Gogh Exhibit Chicago. This is basically an interesting application of immersive experiences to cultural assets, because yes, I know we are here to talk about branded temples, so new brand places, so new stores, new places where the brand can meet consumers and the other way around. But the same technology can be used also for cultural events. This is basically a Van Gogh show where you are walking inside a Van Gogh painting. Meraviglioso, meraviglioso. Ecco, sorry. let me retrieve the link for you and share it on our Ecco qui. Please send Gaia's social media to follow her work. Thank you. Thank you very much. So at the end of this meeting, I will have almost 400 more followers. So my students will be proud of me. Very proud. So let me share my screen once again. This is instead actually a phygital fashion show. This is the first phygital fashion show that has been done by Istituto Marangoni in Dubai. So let me share the link with you. This you really, can you by any chance hear the
no, we cannot hear or see it.
But you cannot hear or see. Okay, cool. I'm going to share with you the link. This you really have to see because it's actually pretty impressive. So basically, in this fashion show, you see that there are models, real, not that digital experiences are unreal. They are bone and flesh models, which, however, at certain stages become avatars. So this fashion show is actually very interesting because it allows us to see how digital and analogic experiences can go hand in hand. The digital revolution is not taking away our humanity. It's actually adding to our capability to welcome and meet clients at this new intersection between digital and physical called phygital, which looks like a medicine, but it's actually a new way of generating content and generating experiences and setting up stores. Because not by chance, I've used the Istituto Marangoni fashion show because we are a brand. When I say I work for Istituto Marangoni, the people ahead of me will already have an idea of the kind of setting I'm working in. They will have an idea of the level of education which I'm delivering. They will expect a certain degree of customer care. They will expect very interesting and very industry-rooted projects because we are a branded environment, and this is how we brand ourselves. I also would like to show you something else about the metaverse, actually. We are the first school to have developed a metaverse where people like you can experience our students' works in the digital world, in a virtual reality. So I'm now going to share another link, which I would be glad if you could view. This is a video which shows the metaverse of Istituto Marangoni, which is where you will also see the works of our students. All of you can visit the metaverse. You will just have to Google Istituto Marangoni metaverse, and you will have and you will find a website where you can actually enter our metaverse. You don't need visors to see it or to visit it. You will visit it on 2 dimensions from your screen. Well, if you have a visor, you can actually use it. And in that case, you will actually enter our virtual reality, which is 3D. So my intervention is actually coming to an end. What I would like to stress is that we are in front of a new era where physical and virtual have never been this close, and they are literally overlapping, and brands have to adapt to this, have to adapt in many different ways, expecting, first of all, the interest of their prospective clients, consumers in that direction, because we are all living in a metaverse. Well, part of our life, at least. Now we are here and we are in a multiverse, technically, because we are on Zoom and we are 380 with me, people connected without having any physical contact, but we are still meeting and we are still somehow, this experience is not lacking humanity. It's just a different way to be together. I see Maria Delgadillo, who's saying, as a designer, I totally love these topics. Gaia is Istituto Marangoni teacher, which course she leads. I actually teach brand communication, fashion product development, sociology of communication, and then I help students develop their dissertation. So in the visual design department, both in the bachelor degree, which is 3 years, as well as in the 3 masters, which I manage, which is digital art direction, digital design for immersive experiences, and then I also manage a fine jewelry master. Thank you so much for talking so passionately about so many topics and sharing your knowledge. Oh, thank you to you for listening. I am very proud to be, well, to have found you interested in this topic. It is just that the industry is made of people and we are working for people. I strongly believe that the digital revolution has to leave us, has to allow us to be even more humane, but we have to accept that we can be humane in a different way. If I have told my grandma, she's no longer around, but if I could have told my grandma that I was today here with 400 people from a different country, she would have been saying, oh, you are joking. Actually, when I was greeting my students from this brief we had, and I was saying, hi, bye-bye, everybody, I'm going to Mexico. And they were like, what are you saying? Yeah, I'm going to Mexico because I have somehow gone to Mexico tonight. And this is possible thanks to this new opportunities which are made available. On a brand level, we have to use them to make the brand experiences more and more relevant. This is another interesting experience, which goes in the direction we were discussing, which is the Gucci Garden on Roblox. Now, let me see the time. Mr. Rova, if I am exceeding the time, please tell me when I have to shut up.
No, you still have a couple more minutes, don't worry.
Okay, so let me just end with Gucci, which between me and you comes from the same city where I come from, because I'm not originally from Milano. I am an immigrant. I come from Firenze, which is down south, and I'm sure that my colleague who is Italian probably can feel this in my dialect. So I come from Florence, and that's the same city where Gucci started and where the headquarters are today. Well, a part of the headquarters. Gucci is an interesting 101 years old brand, and it's never been as fresh as it is today. Gucci last year, thanks to Alessandro Michele and its new take on the brand, has actually been developing an immersive experience on Roblox. Gucci has a space which is an hybrid between a museum, a boutique, a place to get close to the brand, a bookshop. So basically it's called the Gucci Garden. It's in Firenze, in Florence, and I visit it all the time. There are shows that change on a yearly basis, more or less curated by the creative director Alessandro Michele, which is the creative director and designer at Gucci. The Gucci Garden is an hybrid space. It's a store. Sorry, between me and you, we can say this. It's a store, but it's a very, very interesting new concept of store. It's a new brand temple because it's a museum where you can see a show, where you can smell the brand, where you can touch the brand, where you can interact with the brand. You can take a picture in their photo booth and you email it to yourself, and you are in their newsletter, of course. Well, this new, and of course, there's also a boutique where you can find pieces that you can only find in that boutique in that city, in the whole world. It's one of a kind bags that can only be found in the Gucci Garden, which by chance it's called garden, but it's actually not a garden, it's a building. Well, the Gucci Garden has been shot on Roblox, which is a metaverse, which is actually a closed metaverse. And I know this because all my students are teaching me all this, so I know everything about the metaverse now. Because we work with them, of course, on developing, and my colleagues on developing new awareness also on these growing opportunities. Well, Gucci has been designing, actually not designing, really revamping the Gucci Garden on the metaverse, on Roblox specifically. For 2 weeks, and the company that did the digital production of this migration of the Gucci Garden on Roblox is actually Monogrid, which is one of the mentors, which is owned by one of the mentors which work with Istituto Marangoni. The two masters which I manage, the mentor and teacher in these two masters is Francesco Bernabei, which is the CEO of Monogrid. Gaia, I'm a communicator and I still struggle a little bit on making a story for brands. I don't know what part of creating a brand from scratch can take part of a story, but worth to share. I hope you can help me out. Thank you. Ruth, thank you very much for confiding in me. Well, what's worth saying? To be honest, Ruth, I've been studying marketing in the United States, so I have an approach to marketing which is definitely USA oriented. It's worth saying whatever resonates with consumers. And I'm thinking that whatever story we tell has to be something that makes their life richer. Because otherwise, think about it the other way around. What would you be interested in when interacting with a brand, if not what that brand can add to your life? Now, of course, we cannot do this with every single client, but through market research, we can understand the main streams of interest of our majority of consumers and develop content which is addressed to that. Well, Chanel. What is Chanel? Chanel is a new take on feminine fashion. Coco Chanel was a woman that reinvented female fashion, telling a new story of women which are no longer necessarily abandoned to a system, but actually they want to be protagonist of a new way of living their femininity. And this happens by mixing bijou with real jewelries, by wearing a fragrance which is different from all the fragrances that have been used on women. And so far, Chanel No. 5 has an interesting story. If you haven't seen the movie about Coco Chanel, you people watch it. It's interesting, not on a fashion level, but on a sociological level. So what's worth saying about Chanel? The fact that it gives us a new perspective, it flips us upside down, specifically for women, actually. So what's worth saying, it's definitely what can affect people's lives positively. Hi, Gaia, I'm Rebecca, and I think getting in the digital era is a new way of art expression. Bah, Rebecca, very interesting. We must be open to innovate in the area and also promote sensitive physical experiences. Very true. I have a question. Is it real that the digital metaverse universe is quite expensive? How do you recommend young designers and emergent brands to make more accessible those type of design in new projects? This, Rebecca, is very true. I was discussing this with my student the other day. She's developing a dissertation about this. The reality is that working on the metaverse can actually be a little costly because of the softwares that you use and because of the fact that you need specific tools. But there are some softwares which are open source, and I'm speaking as an educator. I know that we make all these tools available for our students. So our students don't pay for any of this because the school is there to support this specific research of theirs. So I wouldn't know exactly how you would do if you did not have that support. So I completely understand your point. But of course, as we said, there are a lot of new ways to approach the metaverse, and this is changing on a daily basis. Any book that you would like to recommend about visual design, retail experience, branding? Oh, Carolina, very interesting question. Now on to fit, I don't know. I should be thinking about it. Give me, if you don't mind, I can send an email to Miss Terova at the end of this meeting. So just give me a couple of days and I will come up with a bibliography. I'm feeling like a celebrity, people. Thank you.
Hi, Gaia. I'm
Hi.
Arturo from the Encuentro Creativo team. We have a lot of questions, a lot. Everyone's loving your lecture. So maybe we can wrap your presentation to see a couple of videos from Istituto Marangoni, and then we go on for the questions. What do you think about
wrapped.
That? Perfect. Let me switch to Spanish to tell this to everyone. Chicos, vamos a ver un par de videos de Instituto Marangoni. Dejen sus preguntas aquí abajo y cuando terminemos de verlos, se los vamos a hacer a Gaia. Gaia, if you check the questions and you see some that you're interested in answering, maybe we can you can read them after the videos and answer yourself. Okay?
Absolutely, thank you.
Entonces, vamos a ver un video de una exalumna, un caso de éxito egresada de Instituto Marangoni, ¿ok? Denme un segundo. Perfecto.
Hola, mi nombre es Diana Villalobos Barrera y soy alumni de Instituto Marangoni. Quiero contarles un poquito de mi experiencia y cómo me ayudó Marangoni y el haber estudiado en Italia en mi carrera profesional. Para darles un poquito de contexto, yo estudié el programa de Fashion Design en Marangoni Shanghai y terminé haciendo mi maestría en Marangoni Florencia. Creo que el haber estudiado en Italia, en China y sobre todo en Marangoni desarrolla algo muy importante que hoy en día como diseñadores necesitamos, que es este pensamiento intercultural. Y esto es una habilidad que te da una enorme ventaja como diseñador y como creativo, pero además que te ayuda en la vida profesional. Gracias a que estás en constante adquisición de nuevas formas de pensar y de nuevas herramientas, etcétera, te hace ser más visionario y más innovador como creativo. Una ventaja que tiene Marangoni o algo que me dio a lo largo de mi carrera es que Marangoni tiene este balance perfecto entre creatividad y negocios. Y gracias a los maestros que con su vasta experiencia y que están muy bien preparados, puedes encontrar tu camino como diseñadora. En mi caso, como diseñadora y como creativa, y puedo decir que como mujer de negocios, mi identidad o mi ADN se define por esta búsqueda de crear un cambio a través de la moda, ¿no? Y sí lo fui haciendo indirectamente con mis negocios y con mis diseños y con mis fashion shows, pero creo que hoy en día, en donde estoy parada, estoy generando realmente lo que yo buscaba como objetivo como diseñadora. Hoy en día funjo como directora de la carrera de Diseño y Negocios en una escuela muy prestigiada de México y creo que estoy abordando desde la raíz lo que siempre he querido como diseñadora. Y si no hubiera sido por todo el conocimiento, por todo este pensamiento intercultural, por todas estas habilidades que desarrollé en Italia, en China, en Marangoni en específico, no estaría yo guiando al futuro del diseño en México de una manera correcta. He agarrado pensamientos diferentes, herramientas diferentes, métodos de trabajar diferentes, culturas diferentes, y todo esto le suma y le brinda para poder crear pues, diseñadores más integrales para un futuro.
Perfecto, ahora vamos a ver un video más. Recordemos que Instituto Marangoni, a través de Encuentro Creativo, está otorgando una beca del 100% para un curso de moda durante junio de 2023. Recuerden entrar a la página de encuentrocreativo.mx/becas y ahí pueden revisar todos los requisitos para que participen en este concurso, si cumplen con el perfil y algunas otras cosas que pide el instituto. Y ahora vamos a ver un video de Ana Astorga, que fue justamente la persona que el año pasado se ganó esto. Denme un segundo y lo comparto.
Hola, soy Ana Astorga y hace un año en Encuentro Creativo me gané una beca educativa al 100% para el Instituto Marangoni. Gracias a la Cámara de Comercio Italiana en México por hacer esta beca posible. Ha sido de gran crecimiento profesional para mi marca AFA México como personal, ya que pues he alcanzado muchas metas para poder estar aquí. Los invito a participar en Encuentro Creativo 2022, ya que también ustedes pueden estar aquí el próximo año estudiando diseño en Milano.
Perfecto. Gaia, did you see any question that you like to answer?
Allora, first of all, thank you, because I have an incredible amount of followers now. So this is actually a brand new experience for me. Yeah, I have found a lot of interesting questions. Jaime says, as a startup, we don't have a lot of investment to be able to deliver experiences in our own stores, which is actually an interesting theme, like how expensive it is to deliver experiences. It definitely is, but I don't completely agree in the sense that, first of all, we have to shift our mindset, because if we think about a store as a place where you can find product, that's the very first mistake. And that's actually a cheap, I mean, a mistake we do, but it's actually doesn't cost us anything, but eventually costs us a lot in the sense that we don't think in the shoes of the consumers. So first of all, the evening experiences means first of all, it starts from conceiving a store as a brand temple and not as a place where you buy product. So it's about delivering experience from the smallest things, from making consumers feel seen, from interacting with them on a personalized level. And then, of course, using the store more as a home, as a happening, a constant happening, than as a place where people can find products. Of course, the more funds you have to create events which are immersive and digitalized, the better it is, of course. There's also another student that says, a student, Isenia, says, can you start making live on Instagram, please? These topics are, okay, for me. No, I thought you meant about Istituto Marangoni classes, because I can try, actually. Tomorrow morning, I have a class at 8:30 with my students. I don't even know how we'll be up and awake, but we will. So maybe I can do a little story to greet all of you with my students. Gaia, do you think these spaces, environments, stands would generate the same emotions in the metaverse or even be more effective, keeping in mind that the metaverse has tools that are hard to compete with physically? Very interesting topic. Or will none of this replace the shopping in-person experience? Or maybe they can work together, since now, like your last examples. Well, first of all, it depends on the consumers, because there are some consumers which are more, how to say, more keen on using digital access to brands, and there are some consumers which are less. It depends on the target market then. For example, in Italy, people over 60 are much less digitally educated than people over 60 in the United States. Although after pandemic it's changing, but still my mother, who's 75, it's less keen on accessing digital experiences than someone same age somewhere else in the world. So it depends on the target market and their features. But overall, if we look at millennials, generation X, Y, Z, and people, however, who are within 56 years old, on a global level, digital experiences can actually be very interesting. And I would say that a digital experience has nothing less than a physical one. But what I strongly think is that they should complement each other, because there's a physical experience of brands which should always be there. Think about smells. Today, we cannot reproduce smells digitally. We will soon, but not today. So when you enter in a store, smell is the first thing that you perceive. Sounds, well, those you can actually experience digitally as well, but creating experiences which are phygital can actually be an interesting mix, because it becomes synesthetic, meaning you actually call different senses at the same time. And some of them can be through digital experiences and some of them through physical experiences. Or the same brand can offer both, because we will buy a fashion item which is digital for our digital identity, but we also have a flesh and bone body to cover up and to enjoy wearing things that we like, wearing jewelries and hearing the jewelry noise. So there's an analogic side to brands, which is still very relevant. The art direction of all these brand experiences is what matters the most.
On that note, Gaia, there are like a couple of questions regarding if virtual stores will replace physical retail. And one really interesting from Patricia says, do you think these spaces will generate the same emotions in the metaverse or even more effective, because keeping in mind that the metaverse has tools that are hard to compete with physically? What do you think about it?
Yeah, this is the one that I was actually answering. I think they can actually work very well together. There are some things, for example, in augmented reality, which is very impressive. And those of you who are into gaming you know what I'm talking about. Those of you who have attended, or just seen on YouTube the concert of Travis Scott on Fortnite, you know what I'm talking about.
Totally.
I was like, my student came to class and said, I've attended the most blessed concert. And I was like, it's pandemic. Where have you seen it? And it's like online. And I was like, yeah, forget about it. He projected it for us on YouTube, and we were like amazing. The sound. I still have quivers if I think about it. And that is not achievable analogically with physical experiences. But there are things that digital experiences cannot give. When someone hugs us, that is something which only physical experiences can give. So I would say that, and not only me, actually, I don't have the power to say this, but statistics and brand strategies are saying that a blend of physical and digital experiences actually are the future. Blending integrated strategies are the truth. The ABBA hologram concert was insane too. Never saw that. Thank you, Ruth. I'll check it out. Can you put the link here so that I can check it, so everybody
sí, Ruth,
can see it?
compártenos el link del concierto de holograma de ABBA, por favor. Dice que sí, que
Compartes.
lo va a poner en el chat.
Gracias, compártelo.
Sí.
I am a brand anthropologist in the making, and will be waiting for you to list a list of books and recommendations. Hope to see you in the future in Marangoni. Absolutely, Denise. A brand anthropologist. If you are into brand anthropology, I give you a few books that you should read. Brand Leadership by Aker. But this is not for everybody. This is just for those nerds like me and Denise who like brands and branding. This one, The New Strategic Brand Management, the top of the top. This is all theory though, people. And then Brand Rejuvenation, no. This one, it's the book that I told you about. It talks about the luxury industry. And at the end, there's plenty of interviews to fashion CEOs and how phygital experiences and hybrid experiences are the future. It's called On Life by Philip Kotler, and it has been just translated in English, so you can find it, and I'm positive they will translate it in Spanish too, but you can buy it in English for now. And then another book which I very much love, I'm not sure whether I can find it, it's called, eccolo, Denise, this is for you. It's not easy to find, you can find it on AB Books, used books. That's where I found brand anthropology word, where I stole it from. Well,
I think we have one last question here from Mariana Lozano.
See?
She says,
it's like it's that one.
Yeah.
It's like bring the self-service to the consumer, even in physical place, to give it the feeling of control, and in that way, what they could make a different experience. This is a good point. The personalization of the experience, immersive experiences, and we have a master for this specific purpose. It just kicked in this year, couple of weeks ago, Master in Digital Design for Immersive Experiences, where we basically tap onto this specific topic, how to deliver mesmerizing experiences which are personalized, self-service, if you will, because through sensors, actually, you can allow an experience to become personalized, because through movement sensors, you actually will be able to deliver a different experience to every different client. For example, one of the mentors, let me share with you something online on the chat. One of the mentors of the digital design for immersive experiences, it's Chiara Luzzana. She's actually an Italian sound designer, and she works with presence sensors so that she basically allows locations to sound by capturing people's movement. So this allows brands, because she works for brands, to actually develop soundtracks of their consumers' movement in space, in their branded spaces. So as you see, the opportunities are amazing, but still there's a very high degree of humanity. Okay, thank you, Edgar. My name is nice. Thank you. Thank you.
No, we thank you for this amazing lecture. I think it was really enlightening for every one of us.
Thank you for you.
Because we're throughout Encuentro Creativo, we're talking about creativity, right? And different matters within the creative field. And you managed to touch a lot of those and say things that we haven't heard in the previous webinars. So it's amazing to keep learning on something, even if we have been all day hearing this on similar topics, right? So it's new
Grazie
knowledge.
mille. Grazie mille. I am impressed. Thank you very much for sharing this time with me. And I hope I will see you in Instituto Marangoni or in Mexico. Viva
Yes,
México.
eres bienvenida cuando gustes aquí en México.
Grazie.
Pasamos con Claudia, a lo mejor tiene unas menciones.
Yeah, thank you so
Ragazzi.
much, Gaia, and thanks to Instituto Marangoni for all the help coordinating these 3 webinars. We hope that all the participants have had enjoyed these webinars. They were really interesting. And thanks so much, Gaia. It was an incredible session. Then I'm going to switch to Spanish in order to give some final messages. Les agradecemos a todos por acompañarnos en una sesión más de Encuentro Creativo. Todavía nos quedan pues bastantes días de actividades, todavía tenemos 8 días con muchas ponencias, sesiones y pues bueno, con otras universidades. Las ponencias de Instituto Marangoni finalizan con esta sesión de Gaia. Les agradecemos a todas las marcas que hacen que sea posible Encuentro Creativo, como son Luxottica, Bulgari, Ferrari, Yamamay, Artemide, Amoretti Brothers, Natuzzi, entre muchas otras. Agradecemos también el apoyo de Ricardo del Instituto Marangoni para coordinar todas estas sesiones y pues bueno, a los participantes que sin su interés en estas sesiones no sería posible. Les recuerdo que a la 1 de la tarde teníamos una ponencia, la cual desafortunadamente por causas ajenas a la Cámara de Comercio Italiana tuvo que cancelarse. Así que bueno, vamos a posponer esta sesión en una segunda etapa, ya no dentro de las actividades de Encuentro Creativo, sino tentativamente para noviembre o diciembre. Así que les pedimos estar al pendiente. Y pues bueno, muchas gracias nuevamente a Gaia y a Marangoni. Nos vemos en la siguiente sesión.
Nos vemos.